what you're doing is you're shifting the paradigm from me thinking, oh, I'm going to go use AI to do X, to AI is now working for me to do X, Y, and Z, and it will tell me when I need to do X. And that is a very different approach. And so I'm simplifying, and anybody who's advanced in using AI might say, oh, Robert, this is a really basic explanation. But for most advisors, this is the explanation they need. They need to understand that if AI isn't doing the work without them having to think about it, they're not using AI to its potential yet. And that is available today.
What if I told you AI could make you feel more cared for by your financial advisor, not less? That the best technology doesn't replace human connection, it scales it. For decades, the financial world told us you can't scale trust, that personal service comes at the cost of growth. But in today's episode of Money Matters, we're about to challenge that thinking and flip it on its head. I'm sitting down with Robert Sofia, CEO of Snappy Kraken, one of the most innovative minds in fintech. Together, we explore how AI is quietly transforming relationships behind the scenes, from personalized touchpoints and lightning-fast lead response to scalable systems that actually feel more human. This isn't just a tech episode. It's a roadmap for any advisor or entrepreneur who wants to grow without losing the personal edge that built their business in the first place. And if you stick with us till the very end, you'll hear Robert break down the one AI mistake most advisors make and the simple shift that could change everything about how you serve your clients. Whether you're AI curious or already experimenting, this conversation will change the way that you think about growth, relationships, and trust in the digital age. This is Money Matters, where financial wisdom meets the future of advice. I'm your host, Chris Hensley. Robert, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Chris. Exciting conversation based on the way you teed it up.
The cool things that we were able to do because of Future Proof. So I've talked about Future Proof on the show before, but we co-authored this article that's in my Digital Kaizen blog that I've been putting out as I'm researching my book, Digital Kaizen for Financial Advisors. And we were able to actually meet in person, right? Here we are in different states, different cities. And I was able, in between those networking meetings, I had like 5 minutes. So I came up and shook your hand, but you were in the middle of giving a presentation about AI, and the ladies from Finney were on stage as well. And so this was a big event there. So let's start with that. So what did you think about Future Proof? One of the big things was AI. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Future Proof is an awesome event. It's a great industry, and what better than being able to network with your colleagues? Everybody that I generally wanted to see was there, and I got to meet new people as well, and it was a lot of energizing conversations, and it's just a great event. I love being there, and AI was obviously a big theme at Future Proof because it's so relevant and it's very future pacing. So there was a lot of conversations around AI, and I was happy to be part of one.
And one of my favorite things is on Sunday when they had the AI drop. It was like a little demo of everything. In the back of my head, the skeptics there, I was like, all right, they're taking a bunch of existing stuff and they're shoving it. Like, all right, everything's got AI now. So really starting from there and getting to the roots here and where we can, as advisors, it's confusing because there's so much that we was trying to grab our attention and pull us in different directions. Now, you've said when we go to that article, and I encourage listeners to go to my LinkedIn page and look at the article section because we did a really nice, I looked back at that article and there's a lot of really good information there. But you said in the article before that AI won't make financial advisors less human, it'll make them more consistently human. Can you unpack what you mean by that?
Yeah, well, it certainly can make them less human. I mean, there's a lot of tools out there that do that. They strip away the humanity, and people tout AI as the solution to do all the work so you don't have to. And it's going to write for you and post for you and communicate for you. And then the authenticity is gone. But if AI is treated not as a replacement for human connection, but as an enhancement to it, not churning out AI slop, but amplifying your authenticity, it can help you to do things like find the right people, connect with the right people on their preferred channel with topics that they care about in a way that feels personal and with you in the loop to make sure that it's authentic. And when it's done that way, AI just gives you more time, gives you more speed, creates more relevance for the people you're engaging with, and then it can be an amplifier of trust. So it really comes down, like every other tool, to how you use it.
I love that. I love that I love your answer. And then I like that you started with the words AI slop, because they're two juxtaposed things, right? There's a lot of bad content out there. I mean, we're kind of, we're so far into people using AI that you see those overused phrases that AI is putting in there. We're seeing a whole bunch of this stuff over and over. So I love that, because you're pointing us in a different direction. You're talking about us being able to connect with our clients or our prospects, and pointing us in a direction where we can do, human connection at scale. In fact, in that article, one of the things that we talked about was human connection at scale. And it sounds kind of paradoxical for some people, but how can something like AI actually make relationships feel more personal?
Yeah. Well, that expression, human connection at scale, I shared that 2 years ago from stage at Jolt at our marketing conference as what I consider to be the definition of marketing in this industry. Human connection at scale, because this is a business that thrives on human connections. So if you think about the way any advisor has historically been able to win business and retain clients, it's all about that connection that they forge with somebody. Now, marketing has historically stripped away that connection. It's been focused on blasting messages to as many people as possible, hoping that it will resonate with the right person and will drive some results. And it's just, guerrilla marketing, blast marketing, interruption marketing, and that is history. But if you rethink marketing, and that is very much what we do every single day as we think about how we help advisors with this. If you rethink of it in a lens of how does marketing strengthen my connection, you're going to do different strategies and tactics completely. Your content is going to be completely different. So now, directly to your point, let me give you some examples. If you have a database of contacts and it's only names and email addresses, you have no choice but to send the same message to everybody because you don't know who's in there. But if you use data enrichment to find out their age, their interests, where they work, where they live, their hobbies, okay, and then use AI to analyze that data, segment those people into separate groups, and send them content relevant to their stage of life, their income level, their asset level, where they live. Now you queue up all that content, you review it before it sends to click yes, yes, no, edit, yes, no, no, yes, right? You are now also inserting your personality into it. What's happening? You are sending hundreds of relevant messages to individuals from you, not blasted, from you personally by text or email that you've reviewed that's tailored to them, but now you can do it in seconds or minutes instead of hours. You create human connection because it's you reaching out with a message that's relevant, that builds connection. But AI is what empowered you to do that. It strengthened your own skills and abilities. It's like a bionic suit. It's like Iron Man. Like he's still Iron Man in that suit, but now he's way more powerful. That's how AI can drive human connection at
Oh,
scale.
Robert, I love it. So as you were saying that, I had my marketing hat, put my marketing hat on, and so, somebody who has used email marketing for many years, it's like, this is kind of the brute force attack of, people who haven't asked for it, and you're emailing them, right? But what you're talking about is there's some additional steps there that kind of gives us homework where we're reviewing it, where we're putting our personality in it, and we're actually taking the time to learn about the people that we're sending and marketing out to. So I love that. I like the idea, the Iron Man, right? The idea that you're still, Tony Stark inside of it, but you're putting these overlays, these pattern recognitions, these systems that are helping us implement in a different way there. So I really, really love that. Now I'm going to pivot a little bit, because one of the things that you mentioned when we were doing the article together here was that Snappy Kraken has something called the Smart Growth Suite. Can you share a specific success story of an advisor who's implemented Snappy Kraken's Smart Growth Suite and saw measurable change?
Yeah, I have thousands of examples, but I'll share a couple that come to mind, and I'll share one at the advisor level, and then I'll share one at the enterprise level. So we had an advisor come in. They had been doing marketing for years. They had a massive database, and they were sending their newsletter to their database every single week. That's all they were doing. And so they had thousands of contacts in this database, and they didn't really know who they were or if they were going to drive any measurable outcomes from it. They were just nurturing them. So instead, we put them into the Smart Growth Suite. The Smart Growth Suite enriched all the contacts with data. So now we knew their age, their address, their income level, their asset level, the value of their home, other things. Then AI automatically segmented those people into separate groups. And then it recommended specific marketing campaigns for each group. So they were segmented into about 5 different groups. They were sent special marketing campaigns for those groups. So the tech entrepreneurs were getting one campaign, the retirees were getting one campaign, the women were getting one campaign, the Henrys were getting one campaign, and so forth. Each campaign was designed for that audience and was intended to trigger a conversation. So this advisor now deployed multiple campaigns to this list that were tailored because AI told them which campaigns they should use with this group of people. Segmented them, sent the campaigns, and then as people were clicking and engaging, AI began to analyze, this is all part of the Smart Growth Suite, analyze their activity. What are they clicking on? What are they viewing? What are they opening? What are they clicking? And when their lead score got to a certain level and their asset level was in the range the advisor was targeting, the system automatically triggered a task for the advisor. So it said, Christopher Hensley has $1 million in investable assets. He has been reading your estate planning content, and we recommend reaching out to him at this time. And the system recommended, based on Chris's activity, whether he should get an email or a text message and proposed what that should include. The advisor merely said, yes, send. That went out. As a result of this effort, they were able to convert about 10% of the total people on that lead list into active conversations.
Wow.
Of those 10% of active conversations, about half came in for a meeting, and they closed business with over 70% of them. They added hundreds of thousands of dollars in annual revenue to their firm simply by using AI to analyze data and queue up the right communications at the right
I
time.
love that. So I'm just hearing the metrics there. So when you hear it's 10%, that may sound like a low number for people who are actually doing this. 10% is high, right? Conversion rate, right? And doing one campaign is hard enough, right? As an advisor. But what I'm hearing is that this thing is intelligently going in and then putting them into different categories. And you're essentially creating multiple campaigns based on that prospect or that potential client. That's huge.
And let me put it in numbers. Let me put it in numbers just in case the 10% isn't meaningful. So we have an enterprise. They have 600 advisors using Snappy Kraken.
Wow.
They use this same functionality for 600 advisors. As a result of running this strategy, in 3 years, they have grown AUM from 20 billion to 40 billion organically. Organically, they've gone from 20 to 40 billion in AUM in under 4 years, about 3. So that's an example at a larger scale in real dollars of how this kind of technology can empower better conversations and stronger advisor relationships.
I love it. I love it. So if that's from a marketing standpoint, as an advisor to other advisors listening to this show, that speaks to us for sure. Something else that we fall, that happens as advisors. Now, you mentioned in the article that one of the biggest mistakes that advisors can make is mistaking ChatGPT kind of tinkering for full AI implementation, right? Can you clarify the difference between an advisor just, monkeying around with ChatGPT versus having a full AI implementation in their practice? What's the difference there?
Well, something like 80%, I think it was 86%, I don't know the exact number, but I saw it recently, of advisors are using AI. But when you drill into what that means, for most of them, it means using large language models to do research or generate content. That is a very basic use case. It's not wrong, it's helpful, but it is basic. If you go to Snappy Kraken's website, you're not going to see AI splashed all over it, but we have AI throughout it because AI is not the answer in itself. It's the strategies on which AI is deployed that make the difference. So, for example, you need to think beyond just output of content and analysis of data. You need to think about the layers of AI. So you've got, yes, these large language models, but then you have AI agents and AI co-pilots and ways to actually perform tasks either completely independent of you or in concert with you, where AI is actually programmed to run through specific workflows, trigger certain activities. And that's where the real value comes, because when AI goes from you initiating to initiating for you, that's where you start to really compound time savings. So I laid out some examples earlier. The data analysis that determines which campaigns and groups to put people in and which communications to send them, that's not something that the advisor has to decide. When a contact comes in from anywhere, AI will automatically parse all the data for that contact and create a contact record in the CRM. Okay, well, an assistant historically would have spent 15 minutes doing that. No, not now. AI will do it. Then somebody would have to decide, how are we going to market to this person? Not now. AI makes that decision. Then somebody has to decide, when do we engage personally? Not now. AI will trigger when to engage personally and how. What you're doing is you're shifting the paradigm from me thinking, oh, I'm going to go use AI to do X, to AI is now working for me to do X, Y, and Z, and it will tell me when I need to do X. And that is a very different approach. And so I'm simplifying, and anybody who's advanced in using AI might say, oh, Robert, this is a really basic explanation. But for most advisors, this is the explanation they need. They need to understand that if AI isn't doing the work without them having to think about it, they're not using AI to its potential yet. And that is available today. I'm not future pacing. You should have AI running business processes, marketing processes, client service processes. You shouldn't have to think about calling and scheduling a client review. They should be getting a text message and an email at the right time. The information gathering should be done, and AI should be serving up your meeting agenda for you at the time of the meeting. This is how you create real efficiency.
I love it. That's a great answer, Robert. When I see my son using it like Google, I'm saying, hey, you're doing it wrong. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's not doing it wrong. I mean, that's it definitely can be used like that. But as advisors, if that's all we're doing with it, we're really missing the point here. And you talk about strategies, ways to look at AI. You talk about, the agents, the co-pilots, the agiatic, if they're doing work for you while you're doing something else, right? That's a different use case than just using it like deep research, right? So a fantastic way to come at it, a fantastic way to look at it. If you're thinking about AI integration in your practice, these are things that need to be on your radar. Robert is telling us, hey, we need to look at this. All right, I'm going to switch a little bit and talk about if an advisor wants to start using AI tomorrow, what's the first system or area that they should address, and why does it begin with compliance?
Yeah, I mean, I suggest compliance always, and it's not the sexy answer. Most people just recommend their own tools or some other tool, but the reality is that using AI does expose your business to risks. There are regulatory risks. There is accidental disclosure of PII. There are questions about proper disclosure that you need to talk with your counsel about. So if you don't have a compliance strategy and you don't have a data strategy is the other thing, because AI is only as good as the data that's feeding it. So if your data is really fragmented, you don't have a unified approach to how you manage store and retrieve that data with AI and how it's readable by AI, you're really not ready. So what I say is get your compliance house in order, get your data strategy in place, and then identify the most repetitive, time-consuming, or impactful positively impactful things in your business, and then ask yourself if AI can resolve any of those things. Can it reduce time, reduce manual labor, or can it accelerate growth? And apply AI to those use cases. And then you'll be really off to the
I
races.
love that. That's a very powerful answer that you just gave there. One, we started by talking about compliance and bringing them in. And, an advisor who's been doing this, I've been doing this for over 20 years. So the idea of I was the guy that raised my hand and said, hey, LinkedIn's a thing. When LinkedIn rolled out, can we get this compliant, that kind of stuff. So advisors are can be frightened by new technology because we don't want to lose our licensing. We want to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So something like Snappy Kraken, the idea that you guys are compliance friendly, that, you've done some of the back end by working with, we're not just going out there going blind. So I love that. You talked about a data strategy. Oh, what's that? That for advisors, that's where we need to start, right? That's huge. And then you talked about, actual use cases. And I love that you put two columns there. You put something that's repetitive. So sitting down and writing a list of what am I doing on a daily basis that's repetitive, and then what's positively impactful to my business. Those two lists, and then putting AI on top of it. I love that. That is a very, very strong answer. Okay, Robert, I'm going to ask you that we're getting close to the end here. I mentioned I've been doing this for a long time, so this might sound like me. So many advisors still rely on referrals or word of mouth. But hey, we're in a digital age now. I mean, post-COVID, post-pandemic, everything's done remotely. How can AI help modernize their marketing without losing authenticity?
Well, I am not of the school of thought that AI is a replacement for those things. I firmly believe in the value of personal interaction, face to face, getting introductions from your clients. That should never stop. And there are firms maybe that run a completely digital strategy, and that's fine. But for most advisors, the relationships really matter. And so, what we encourage advisors to do is to use AI to enhance or supplement those things. Some of our clients use AI to ideate what events to have. They use AI to generate the content to invite people to those events. They use AI to analyze all the registrants. And if you go to an event, let's say it's a referral event, you have your clients there and you've got a few prospects. And before you go into that room, you know which prospects are probably most qualified because you let AI do some analysis and pick them out for you. And then they use AI to create follow-ups for that event and the timing and the triggers and the cadence of campaigns to convert introductions or referrals into business, and to all of these things, and to analyze how is an event actually performing, how do different events perform, how, like, we use AI to analyze every single registration, click, open, conversion rate, the amount of ROI or AUM that comes in from different channels. So now AI can do all this deep data analysis for you. You don't need a data scientist on staff to do data science and really understand where should you be spending more money on events. What are your best sources of referrals? What's the best way to go about getting them? And so it's not one or the other. It's how to use them together to get the best result.
All right, I'm going to leave that, not one or the other. I love that because too often you'll hear, advisors who are successful, they'll sit on their laurels and they'll say, hey, I get referrals. But are they really tracking the conversion rate, the ROI? So all of the things, the answers that you gave were a database. So that you're going back and you're overlaying AI even to something as live events where we're doing client events, right? That sort of thing. And you're going back and you're sprinkling AI on top of it to add to it. And I love it because it's metrics based. We are bumping towards the end of the show. I'm going to give you a big question here. Looking 3 to 5 years out, how do you see AI reshaping the financial advice industry, and who do you think will win or lose in this shift?
I get asked this question or a similar version of it pretty often. And, I'm not omnipotent. AI is doing things that we can't even comprehend. I mean, we are literally humans have figured out how to make sand think. You know, we've got super intelligence, more speed to access and create with information and data than ever before in human history. Jobs are being replaced. More jobs will be replaced. Um, the entire shape of many industries will change. And usually, if you listen to people talk about the future of AI in this industry, if you listen thoughtfully, you will find that they have an agenda. And so they will tell you that things like, AI is the future. If you don't adapt AI, you're going to go away. You won't be able to be relevant. Use our AI technology
Right.
today. Or they'll say, oh, AI will never replace advisors because it's all about the human element and people want skin and they need that deep expertise. AI can't do what we do, and that's self-validating. So what I'm gonna say, my answer in saying all of that is anybody who says they know doesn't really know because it's moving so fast. Historically, computing power has doubled every couple of years, Moore's law. But today, AI is doubling every 7 months in its computing power. You blinked, it was 7 months ago. AI is twice as powerful as it was then. And you know what happens when you double? You know the power of compounding. So I think it's anybody's game, but I will say this. If you want a future-proof business, don't ignore it. Don't
I
ignore it.
love it. I love it. I don't think we're going to do a better question than that. That was a fantastic answer there. In fact, we've taught Sand how to think. So that one stuck in my head. I might steal that one from Robert. Good one there. Good one there. So in the last few minutes of the show, what have I forgot to ask you that you'd like to share with listeners today?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that question. I don't know what you forgot to ask. Your questions were really good. But if anybody wants to talk about this or they have questions about it for their enterprise, how they can help their advisors, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. Send me a direct message. I'd love to chat, even just for 15 minutes and see if we can be helpful.
Absolutely. Robert, thank you so much for being on the show today. Have a great rest of the day there.
You too. Thanks, Chris.